All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a wonderful day. It was a bad day in the markets today, just as we were starting to get relief. And now this leads us into a huge day tomorrow with Jerome Powell, a bunch of data sets by the time the bell rings, and then even more earnings. So we got a ton to talk about. We have to talk about what happened today. There was a couple of events and even the setup. And then after hours, right now as I'm recording, the Amazon conference call is going on, and we're waiting for step number 2, but so far, SMCI, AMD, and the other earnings, there was not anything good. So it's put us in a very interesting setup. I have that recap for you. I have all the plays, even the questions. You guys had a lot of questions, so I got that. We have this special watch list again. So what I need from you, a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you're subscribed, and if you don't know, we are live Monday through Friday, 30 minutes before open, youtube.com/the stock market. We will see you there in the morning, baby. Run it.
Walking to the couch, it's the 20 legs. Live in the hills, but I still get a spread. Started with a live, but I still reinvest it. Feel how I feel, then you feel like it's a blessing. I just want the lesson, I just want protection. I'm up and I'm down, but the sound like progression. Farmer never plans if he waits for perfection. Finger to the down, hold it.
Right off the bat, before we get into the keys, you really have to understand how this morning played out because we weren't doing that bad. Remember, yesterday we were holding up after that little Friday rally coming off all the earnings. Well, it wasn't looking that bad until the ECI came out, and it came out hotter. That's another set of inflation data that has been climbing up. That freaked the market out. The bonds went down, the stocks went down, and then by the time we opened up, you traded a little bit, and then we started dumping. And although everybody was getting ready for earnings, one thing after another kept slipping. Now, it's easy to blame the ECI today, but you guys were watching the watch list yesterday. Remember this little move in the Treasury? And we were talking that January 29th. Well, yeah, I think that's what happened today. I don't think the ECI was as much as the reason. I do think it was a big deal, but you'll notice we didn't get above that level from yesterday, and then we just started dumping. So that is playing into it, and now even to tomorrow, we will be getting an update on that. So we'll be able to confirm that. But as far as your first key, like I'm saying here and what we did today, bad data plus the earnings hype for the next day, it has not played out good. Any of the times we've had the earnings and we had good data, things felt good. But today, that bad data, it did not give you any sort of calm. And we had a lot of jitters towards the end of the day and got a pretty nasty sell-off. So with the earnings after the bell not moving too much, I really think tomorrow is going to be interesting because, like I'm saying here, we sadly have potentially the same setup depending on how Powell and other things play out. But one thing I was saying all day today was that Amazon and AMD were going to have the potential to really move us after hours. If you remember Google and Microsoft and all that anticipation, the after hours move, we literally moved an after hours as much as we did all day. Well, both of these did not really do much. That's SMCI, but I think even AMD, it moved in line with expectations. We're going to see where it's at in the morning. But this is a pretty small move. It was about 1 point. It's not like it was tiny, but compared to what we're getting, and that's why I'm saying we got to wait for that conference call, it kind of is punting and leaving a lot of energy to coming in tomorrow. So that's going to be a big one. We'll see what happens from there, but that is key number 1. And now key number 2. Here are all of your events for tomorrow. It is truly going to be a powerhouse of a day. Before the market even opens, an hour and a half before the bell, you're going to get ADP numbers, private payrolls. Then you're going to get Treasury refunding 15 minutes after that. What we heard from Yellen yesterday, we're going to get an update on that tomorrow morning. And then 1 hour after that, right when the market opens up, we get the S&P manufacturing PMI. Then 30 minutes later, you get the ISM manufacturing PMI. Then at the same time as that, you get the JOLTS jobs report, the JOLTS quits, all of that data. Then 2 p.m. is the FOMC. They release the statement. And then 30 minutes after that, you get Jerome Powell. And then after the bell, you get a couple more earnings, not to mention what you're going to wake up to with all the other companies that still need a report. So hopefully you get an idea of the vibe tomorrow. This is a lot of events, and the way things are playing and how we've been getting both relief and not, and now we're ending April. If you guys didn't know, this was the first red month since the beginning of the year. We'll see if that continues or not, but there is still a lot riding, and now tomorrow is going to give us a lot of opportunity to move. So that is key number 2. And then finally, here's the deal, man. Tomorrow's big. Friday can pack a punch, but I want you to observe some of the broader factors here. Number 1, the SPX, this range that we've been in. We've been talking about this all day throughout the stream. Every time I was like, what's the next range? Where are we going? And you could kind of notice how we've kind of stayed pinned. It's either 5,000 to 5,100, or we're going to kind of stay pinned between 49,000 and 500. So there's 2 levels depending on the volatility, but ever since we fell a couple of weeks ago, we have not been able to shake this, and this is kind of key because around here, you did get some of that Powell shift, and now we're about to get Powell tomorrow. So pay attention to the momentum, where the market is. And then the final thing is what we've been talking about a lot here. And I know there's days where the correlation doesn't seem like anything's happening and you want an immediate answer, but little by little, man, this is the answer right here. And if we get to that 475, start opening up the door to 5, these are things. If the momentum on the SPY changes, bond yields start getting blown out more, we get a hawkish Powell data, this is where you're going to start getting narrative and bigger shifts that we haven't seen for quite a long time. I mean, look at what happened when the bond shifted after going down, and then once they start going down and going back up, you watch how the market changes. So watch out for all of this. This will be a big day leading into tomorrow. And like I'm saying here, you're still going to have your Friday and a lot of other things. So don't get too crazy if the data is status quo. And then we're going to keep chugging along slowly. But lately, it's like is the market going to move fast? Is this it? Well, we'll see what these broader factors show us. But now, let us get into the plays. So, right off the bat, I got a couple of different plays. Most of them are the ones that I made today. There's one play for tomorrow that I will look at, but I'm kind of hesitant. Otherwise, there's still a couple of earnings plays, post-earnings. We even made one today that we'll go over, and then holding a lot of the plays that we've been in. I gave you the recap yesterday. I have a lot of exposure, and if you missed that video, please watch it because your answers are there, baby. But as far as play number 1, I'm not even on the keys, man. Starbucks. So it was a pretty bad earnings. We made a play on this, and the thing about Starbucks, they can bounce pretty big after earnings, or at the very least, they could easily reverse the earnings move. Last quarter, Starbucks did good, and then I think it lasted for like 10 minutes, and then it turned around. So they don't usually have good continuations. I do think tomorrow will be a toss-up, but that data that they had, the bad comps, international and domestically, it was not good, and they have a lot of value to make up or from that upside, especially considering their story. So I will be keeping my eyes out this, maybe even for the long term, but we have a play. I'm going to go over that a little bit later, and I'm going to ride that one out. If I have another opportunity to double dip, I will, but after last quarter, I will be hesitant on the post-earnings play. So that is play number 1. Watch out for that. Then play number 2. This is the one I'm kind of weird about, Pinterest. And I think it's going to be in its own little world tomorrow, regardless of the data, the Fed, Powell, anything else. I do think Pinterest had a really good report. Just like Snapchat, they're going to be able to hold up, but low-key, the continuations this earnings season, they have not been on fire. I don't really recall any crazy good earnings continuation. Maybe the AXPs were probably the best one, but other than that, I haven't really seen anything go crazy since UAL. So that's what I'm worried about with this play, because I think it could hold up in tomorrow's environment, but it may just gap up and move within like 20 cents all day and then chill, kind of like we've seen with every other earnings. So that is play number 2. And then finally, play number 3 was weed stocks, man. We had this today. If you were live on stream, you should have made some money on anything because we got it very, very early. There was news that the who was it? Was it not the CDC? The CDC, the DEA. They said they want to do some of the reclassifications, pretty much say marijuana is not as dangerous as initially thought. They're not going to legalize it, but kind of acknowledge some of its benefits and say it's not as dangerous. But that caused a huge pop in the ETFs, and it was absolutely nuts. So if you guys have been watching here all year, even like literally since like November of last year, we were talking about wheat stocks in the election. I mean, pandering and all the other, it's easy. It's an easy play. And we've been going back and forth, and I just sold out of it, I think a little bit more than a month ago, and I didn't get back into it. So I'm a buyer, but I already missed this one. It popped up. I think you're going to hear more on this news. It might go up even crazier and then have one of those pullbacks on the next dip. I'll be getting back in, but if you want to keep your eyes out for this, a lot of people are getting excited, and this could be some momentum, but it will follow the election cycle, and it's going to follow those headlines out of the government, the DEA, and all of that good stuff. But those are the main plays as far as everything else. Here you go, man. It's all in writing for you. I made a couple of plays today. I sold my Amazons. I got 130% on the pre-run-up play. Called that out on the watch list live. You should have got that. The IBM put for earnings. 100%. Didn't want to push it. I said, all right, let's take it. We talked about that one yesterday. And then I decided to go for an Airbnb pre-run-up play. I grabbed the May 17th 205 calls. I grabbed 25 of them for 25 cents. I'm going bigger on the pre-earnings because I'm not going to hold them for earnings. And I'm trying to get my premium and gains before they even report this time around. So we'll see how that plays out. I have it written here in writing, so there shouldn't be any other follow-up questions, but it went down, I think, like 10, 20% right away. We'll follow up with this, but the idea is travel earnings are going to begin this week. You get Marriott, I believe, tomorrow morning, and then you are going to be getting Expedia and Booking on Thursday, and from there, I'm sure Airbnb and all those should wake up. So that was my first play that I bought. Then I bought the Starbucks 78 put. This was the 2 standard deviations, so at the time we priced it, it was pricing in, I think, like 260, and I doubled it up. I eyeballed it. I didn't use my calculator, so I think I went a little bit further than there or around, but this was 28 cents or 20 cents for a 78, and we talked about it. I was just saying I didn't go for a call because the calls had a premium. The option chain told you they were expensive, but the puts were cheap. And it was just looking at it, we were talking about the recovery situation, and we just said if Starbucks does bad, it could go back and recover those past earnings, and that's exactly where 2 standard deviations was, and it was right at that 78. So got it for 20 cents. That one should hit unless the market hates you. Then I got a Caesars 41 call. They were pricing in a lot, and they don't usually move, and it did have a bad earnings, and they dropped. I only went with the call side. 41 call, spent $20. That one's probably going to be clapped, so we lose $20, but I'll have till next week. And then I grabbed a MasterCard for next week, $4.85. This was my favorite earnings play of the day. No guarantees. We'll see what it does tomorrow. I may double dip if it's like a AXP style beat where it has a good beat, holds up in the morning, is in its own little world, pulls back a little, premiums die, and then it takes off. That should be a good one. But why I bought this one was my most expensive earnings play. Spent about $75, and it was because wasn't pricing in that much. Other sympathies in the space have moved insane already. They're breaking out. And then $70 for like less than a 10% move on a $500 stock, I'm down, or $450. I thought that was a really good deal. So we'll see how it plays out, but I don't know how they're going to report. But those were the plays that I made today. Everything else still holding the ones we talked about. And now let's get to our questions of the day, man. So somebody asked me to this today. They said, I'm just subscribed to the channel. I'm new to the stock market. I've heard the phrase long-term short sale when it comes to stocks. Can you explain that to me? So I literally copy and pasted your question. I thought it was a good one. Always love to see the new people too, but low-key, this could mean a couple of things. So simply, if someone said like a short sale, that's betting against the stock price. So if you think a stock is going to go down and you want to make money on it, you could short a stock. It's where you borrow it. Even if you don't know anybody who owns stock, you could borrow a stock from your broker. You sell it, it drops, you sell it, collect the money, it drops in price, and then you buy it back and keep the difference. Shorting, you make money, you're pretty much betting against the price of the stock. If it's a long-term short, that probably means it's a short longer than 1 year. But now here's the deal. There's also like long-term and short-term. So in like financial terms, like even with cash and cash equivalents, short-term is anything less than 12 months. Anything longer than 12 months, it'll be different. If we're talking capital gains and all of that, it's usually more than 12 months. So we talk about a lot of things on the long term. Sometimes I'll go short and long, but this is what I really want you to notice. If you ever hear me say long and long term, those are, I make a lot of trades in every day, and I show you guys these. I'm showing you trades, good, bad. Please don't ever forget, man, and this is a big part of this channel. beyond any plays, like the real way you take advantage of the stock market is owning in the long term. And those are the plays where we say, like, and again, we're going to even talk about it here. I'm like, plays I want to hold for 10 years. And like, we've made YouTube accounts. This is a big one. We have a small one. We started with $2,000. It's at $20,000 now. But like, these are stuff we've done all live over the years for everybody. And the whole idea is like owning these stocks for the long term. That's another discussion. I know it wasn't your question, but I found a way to bring it in. But hopefully that is the answer to your question. If you have a follow-up, let me know. But I thought that was a unique question, and I liked it, man. So welcome. Welcome to the cult. Yeah, he's like, is it cult? What? But that's question number one. Question number two, I'm probably going to talk about this a lot, but now I could also send everybody on the stream to this video. But I get a deposit for the long term tomorrow, and Chad was asking what potential long-term pickup. So listen, man, if you just a trader, bro, we got fire news, man. And now don't play me on the news. Don't stop it with the news. Stop it. Don't play me on that. You know what I'm saying? Info, macro, don't even play me. And I hope you guys get the best of it, make the most of it. But again, them Chads with the long term, bro, it's a really big deal here. And we take it seriously, but I know a lot of Chads killing it on the long term. Don't sleep on this. So we have this deposit, but Pfizer is pretty much the first on my list. They have earnings, though, tomorrow, so that's probably going to get in the way. And now that Starbucks reported and they did bad, that could be a new addition. If you remember at the beginning of the year, I talked about Starbucks being a potential one if it came down. Well, now it's really coming down, but overall, it's going to be the same plan as the beginning of the year. I will wait on tomorrow's deposit because of Pfizer earnings. If it goes up, I'm not going to buy it. If it goes down, may wait a little bit, and then I'm going to want to wait to see where Starbucks goes. But in general, same plays, MO. If MO is up, Pfizer. If Pfizer's up, probably going to look to PayPal. And if all of those are up, Nike, Starbucks, Hershey's, and then NVO. I've talked about it, selling covered calls on Airbnb, and then top ticking NVO. It's still an idea I cannot shake for some reason, but I do like it. Other than that, same plan. I'm probably going to wait, though, depending on Pfizer earnings. If Pfizer does really bad, I'm going to be using that deposit tomorrow. But if not, we're probably going to be waiting to see how things go, and we're fully exposed. So I do need to hold on the cash a little bit. Last time we held on for like 10 days. So we will see, but hopefully that's a good one. And let me know what you got, man. You asking me my long terms. You guys give me good ideas sometimes. So let's go. What do you got for your long-term pickups, baby? And then the final question, man, the yen and currencies. So this one's a big one. And we talked about it literally last couple of days. I hope you've been on the watch list because I've given you discussions even last time when it was going live there. But the thing you need to know right now is that the yen is bad. It's literally a 30, almost 40-year low, and it's getting to the point where it's about to disturb the world, but it's not there yet. And I say sadly, that's the potential, and it's not there because it's been moving slow, and honestly, America and the other things we're focusing on, it's not big enough yet to disturb us, and quite frankly, the government of Japan hasn't admitted it to being a problem. So that's the big part you got to follow right now, but if you're not knowing why it's going down and you need me to explain the YCC and all of that, you will have to go back to some of the other videos, but this I think is pertinent, and we talked about this, but you just got to understand that right now, the real big story is that the currency is weakening. There is a lack of support on the currency by the general market and the reasons to buy the yen, and then even the government. And that's why this little failed intervention thing that's been going on, it had a big pop. People noticed the Japanese accounts yesterday got depleted, but the government didn't confirm that they intervened, just like 2022. But this isn't good. And I was explaining this today because it's getting us to the point of like a potential point of no return, because if they keep doing these half-A interventions and it pops it up and then the currency weakens again and then they don't admit it and they do not get behind the currency and give an explicit support and say we are going to support this currency moving forward, then every single one of these intervention attempts, they start to build a tolerance, and that's where I mean you get the potential of no return, because now it's more and more failed intervention. You know, a boy who cried wolf, when they actually do real intervention, it may cost them a lot more, or it could get to the point where if that real intervention fails, then there you go. And then that's probably where it'll disturb the world. So we'll see, but I'm telling you, I know a lot about this topic. Oh, but even I have been mind boggled by all this. This has been a head scratcher for a lot of people right now. And even though it's kind of quiet, I keep your eye on it because this is something, I don't want to call it a canary, but more or less an elephant in the room. So hopefully that helps. If you have any more questions to any of this, though, and honestly, bro, this is why I've been doing this. I've been having fun with it. And like I'm saying, like sometimes people ask questions. I like answering them, but I don't, they don't listen to the response or like they'll ask it again. And I want to give you guys a good database with all this. And maybe Josh AI in the future can help you out with it. But at the end of the day, man, if you have anything you need me to answer, comment it below. I'll try to incorporate it into the next video or just email me. But like if there's something you really need an answer to and you want me to write it down and just give you my best attempt at it, I got you, baby. But Chad, that is all I have for you. And that is your watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure hydrate healthy, ready to go. Make sure post your watch list. Make sure we see you there in the morning. I need the armor on. I need the helmet shining. And very simple, I need you to remember, hungry is humble. If you ain't hungry, you ain't humble. What does hungry mean? Oh, Chad. But I love you. Drink that water. Stay hydrated, healthy, all that good stuff. I'll see you when the AM end. Horn.